Hey, what's up, everyone? It's the Lemesis, your nemesis, but you can call me Lem. Welcome to Just Another Cheesehead podcast. And what more can I say? What more can I say? And I think the photo that I have up, it speaks volumes. It truly does. Those are the men that I think are responsible. Those are the men that get paid a lot of money. These guys, including the players, but mostly these guys, the main culprits of the front office, is what I've been saying and shouting for years. I've been saying this for years. Now, the funny part about it is I haven't had my podcast available for years, but I've been saying this on almost every single episode. The problem is, from left to right, it's perfect. It's unison. It was meant for this day. Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, and Mark Murphy for hiring both of them. That is exactly what I've been saying from the very beginning. That's why the Packers currently right now are 2-4. Before we dive deep into this, let's kind of do a quick recap. You guys already know the Packers are 2-4. The Broncos are 2-5. They got their second win on the season, courtesy of the Green Bay Packers. And what a terrible performance all around for our team to lose to one of the worst defenses in the entire league, if not the worst defense in the entire league, on the 22nd of October. We lost 17-19. Now, we made a valiant effort at the end of the game with a lot of luck involved. And then, of course, good old Jordan Love does a lot that you don't love, and he throws a pick at the end of the game and seals the deal for the Denver Broncos. Let's go to the game center. Let's check it out. Let's just kind of look at the numbers, just in general. So let me pull them up here. So overall, we netted 331 yards. We had 7 penalties to their 8. They gave up 60 penalty yards. We gave up 56. Looks like time of possession was relatively even. We held the ball 31 minutes. They held it 28 and some change. So that's not, the discrepancy isn't terrible there. And let's go here. And we all know Jordan Love, he threw about 180 yards. And he had the 1 touchdown and then the pick at the end of the game. I mean, Jordan Love, it's hard to... I don't want to pile on the guy right now. And the reason why I don't want to pile on him is because it's not entirely his fault. That actually is where I agree with Matt LaFleur to an extent. And sorry, he threw 2 touchdowns. Let's get that clear. But Jordan Love was 21 for 31, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Now, we already talked about this, remember? On our last podcast or the previous one before that, we went over all the numbers that Bart Starr had in his first year. We went over all the numbers that Aaron Rodgers had in his first 5 games and his first year, and even Brett Favre. We compared him to C.J. Stroud, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. We compared them to all of those quarterbacks. And in the end, Jordan Love is terribly performing in comparison. Now, I will say Bart Starr, it was a different time, a different era. So clearly, Jordan Love's numbers looked better. But, I mean, Bart Starr was a winner. Jordan Love clearly is not. And I don't really want to pile on Jordan Love because these men you see in front of you while you're watching and listening to this podcast, and if you don't see my screen and you're just listening to me right now, I have a picture of Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, and Mark Murphy right when they had a press conference for introducing Matt LaFleur as a new head coach of the Green Bay Packers. And from this very moment, I was always very questionable, or always questioned their decision-making. Because first off, you move off of a coach who won the Super Bowl. And at the time, there was rumors going around that Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers had beef. They had issues. We all know that's not the case. Aaron Rodgers came out, stated that to be the case. They both talked about the love they had for each other. Mike McCarthy went and got hired by the Dallas Cowboys. We already had that game. We won. Everything's cordial. So that was kind of blown out of proportion. But then what I thought was interesting was Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst were trying to cherry pick a great coach out of that Sean McVay tree, right? The Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay type tree, because they were popular, right? That's normally how it goes. I mean, if you remember back in the late 90s with the Green Bay Packers, you're seeing the John Grudens and the Mike Holmgrens and the Andy Reids. They were all on the Green Bay Packers at one point. And now, Mike Holmgren's no longer coaching anymore. John Gruden's not coaching for other reasons. But he did have that 10-year contract with the Raiders. So you're just seeing that there's like these waves that if you're just on a winning team and you win a decent amount, normally your coaching staff gets cherry-picked, and then they just want to have you everywhere. But what was interesting was Matt LaFleur was a part of some of the teams, specifically, I believe, the team that was in Atlanta when Shanahan was over there. And then he went to the Tennessee Titans. But what I found interesting was it was such a reach for Matt LaFleur. Just to say, okay, they're buddies. Robert Saleh and Shanahan and Sean McVay, all these guys coached together. They were young. They're up and coming. And you almost wanted to just hire somebody by default who was affiliated with that group of guys, thinking that somehow just by hiring that guy, you can find lightning in a bottle and hiring someone like Matt LaFleur. But if you look at his credentials before he came to the Green Bay Packers with the Tennessee Titans, and we went over that as well. You can go to our previous podcast. Matt LaFleur didn't really do much of anything. So it was a huge surprise to see him on the Tennessee Titans. Their offense really wasn't great at all. And he was helping the run. He was, quote unquote, helping the run game, but the run game was like ranked 20-something or something like that. Or the passing game was ranked 20-something in the league. It just didn't make any sense hiring someone like Matt LaFleur. And I think we're seeing that right now as we speak. Right? Now, let's give him the respect he deserves. He's more sophisticated and intelligent than you and I. Remember, I'm just another cheesehead. You're just another fan. According to the NFL and players, they listen to me, they hear me on the podcast, or others might hear us. They think we're idiots. We don't know what we're talking about. So we'll give them that. We'll give them that mulligan. We don't know what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, we can all see your results, whether you think I'm qualified to talk about it or not. And the results clearly aren't cutting it. And to me, this stems from the two men that are on the outside here, Mark Murphy and Brian Gutekunst. And you're starting to see that this game that Brian Gutekunst played, trying to use the Midwest, trying to use that good old country, good old, blue-collar man mentality to pit us against our star Hollywood, which I wouldn't even say Hollywood, but our star quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and how this is failing for him tremendously. And the only thing they have right now is time. Time is on their side, and that's why we're gonna go to what Matt LaFleur said in his press conference. Technically, we're recording this at midnight, so technically yesterday. So I'm just gonna read some of his comments. Matt LaFleur just wanted to reiterate that the confidence the Packers have in Jordan Love. And he, end quote, said, it all works in unison. So the better everybody's around him, the better he's going to look. And then he said, our confidence in him is not wavering one bit. I bet your confidence isn't wavering in Jordan Love one bit, Matt LaFleur, because you bet the house on Jordan Love. And you would hate to go on national television, get in front of a camera, and admit you were wrong. Admit that you kicked out a 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, that you were in cahoots with Brian Gutekunst, who tried to create drama between Aaron Rodgers and the Packer organization and the fans. And I'm willing to go out on the limb and talk about how maybe the reporters were in on this whole situation with Aaron Rodgers and the stupid immunization nonsense just to blow it up bigger than it actually was. Because I remember when that happened, when the COVID thing went down, Aaron said a couple things that was quite interesting. That like he was prepared to answer the questions because the reporters knew of his position. They knew that he was that he had the what was like the band on his wrist that specifically labeled him as a player who wasn't vaccinated, but they never asked any questions. So it almost seems like an inside job to kind of like ruin this guy's reputation from my perspective. Again, this is complete speculation. This is just my opinion from listening to the different comments of Brian Gutekunst and Aaron Rodgers over the years, and Matt LaFleur and Mark Murphy. It just seems like this whole thing was kind of drummed up on the inside to push him out. And I think Aaron said it right, that as soon as he became an MVP and then won another MVP back-to-back, that kind of shut them up and kind of put a damper on their plans. So I feel like they planned this all along, and they shot themselves in the foot. And even better, they shot themselves in the foot drafting the guy to replace Aaron, and he sucks. And he's not even that good. He's a backup at best, and he's not even like, he's not Flynn. Like, he's not even like Flynn. Flynn was fantastic. And what was it, Matt Flynn? He was fantastic for us. He's not even as good as Flynn, which is insane. So, and let's not even get started on just the quarterback play around the league and how things are just so terrible. But I don't know what else I can say, because I've been saying this for years, and I've been saying this for months, and I've been saying that these men, maybe not so much Mark Murphy, because he's the president, and I don't know how that's going to go down, but these men need to be held accountable, and I think we need to clean house. I've been saying we need a clean house before the beginning of the season, and you're seeing this on display in front of the whole world, and they wanted to have that wonderful beginning game against the Bears. Do you guys understand what's about to happen over the next several weeks? Let me just give you what I anticipated. I'm going to keep going over. I keep going over the schedule for this year, and I went over it from the very beginning, starting my podcast, and I told you my predictions, and it's hilarious because it's spot on. I might have given us a game that we should have won, but then we lost the game we should have won, and then we won a game we shouldn't have won, so we pretty much broke even. But I picked the Packers over the Bears, the Packers over the Falcons, but you guys know the Falcons beat us. I picked the Saints over the Packers. We already know that the only reason why the Packers won that game is because Derek Carr got injured. Then I picked the Lions over the Packers, and then I picked us to beat the Raiders. How stupid was I? Then we get a bye week, and I said this, Broncos over Packers, and everyone thought, like, oh my God, how in the world could the Broncos beat us? They gave up 70 points against the Miami Dolphins. Well, the little chickadee told me, and I'm saying that being facetious, that it's not a little chickadee. Look at the games they played. Literally, the only game that they were not in on it was against the Miami Dolphins, where they got blown out. They even had the Chiefs in contention when they were playing against the Chiefs. All their games are relatively close. So that team is not, even though the Denver Broncos and their defense are terrible, they weren't completely out of the running. So I knew the moment they would play our team, how discombobulated we are, how we're not dialing it in, and clearly we're just not talented. I saw this happening. So you know what's about to happen next? We're going to lose every single game all the way up to probably the Giants. We play the Vikings, we play the Rams, we play the Steelers, we play the Chargers, we play the Lions again, we play the Chiefs, then we play the Giants, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Vikings, and the Bears. I mean, come on, guys. This is looking like a 3 to 4 win season. 3 to 4 win season. And we were so reluctant to not look at the facts of last year, right? Last year, Aaron Rodgers broke his thumb, couldn't throw the ball as well. He had a bunch of rookies out there who didn't know what they were doing, didn't know the plays, couldn't run the routes. Aaron Rodgers was trying to make another run to get to the Super Bowl, and what did Brian Gutekunst do and Matt LaFleur do? You unequipped your Hall of Fame quarterback with a bunch of players who are irrelevant. Then, let's not talk about the debacle you did with Davante Adams, right? That's on Brian Gutekunst, because Davante Adams wanted to have a contract done years ago. But what did you do? You waited till the last minute, and this man didn't have any time for you, because every year you wanted him to prove to you he was the best wide receiver in the league. And even though he proved to you time and time after he was trying to get that big contract, then what'd you do at the last minute? Try to go, well, we'll offer you this when you made the relationship get pushed to the extreme. These men, I mean, we don't know about their personal life, so we won't talk about their personal life. But as leaders in this organization, they are not good leaders. They are not men that you would want to work for. Think about the work you put in. You do the work that these guys can't even do. They dreamed about doing. Mark Murphy, he did play in the NFL. But Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst's little, he just looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. He wished he could be as talented as Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, and he's not. And he's just playing around with these guys, and guess who hurts the most? The fans. You and me. We suffer the most, right? Because they pit us against each other. When I was out there telling you guys that these guys were the problem and they were messing up our team and putting us in a position of failure, you guys would fight. You'd yell at me. You'd scream at me. You'd curse at me and any other fan like me. You would look at fans like myself and not call us Packer fans. When you don't realize at the end of the day, I want us to win just as badly as you do. But I wasn't believing the nonsense and the hype of people calling Aaron Rodgers a diva, calling Brett Favre a diva. Bro, do you guys remember? We talked about this. The Green Bay Packers were on their way out before we got Brett Favre. We were going 30 plus years with losing records, not winning absolutely anything. Brett Favre comes in, becomes our savior, puts the Green Bay Packers back on the map. They were going to get rid of us. They were going to get the Packers out of Green Bay. And Brett Favre single-handedly saved us. Then we got blessed again to have another Hall of Famer. And this Hall of Famer was even better than the previous Hall of Famer, a 4-time MVP. So we have a 3-time MVP in Brett Favre, a 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and it's like his complaint was, remember, Aaron was an arrogant, SOB back in the day. I don't like Greg Jennings, but Greg Jennings at one point had some valid points. But Aaron Rodgers grew. He was a young kid. We're all stupid idiots growing up at some point in our life. And he grew up right before our eyes. And he matured into a better man. He's made some questionable decisions. We don't need to talk about the COVID thing and the ayahuasca and all that other nonsense. But he's matured into a more responsible man. And I've seen him grow, and I appreciate that maturation. And he's become more comfortable with sharing more about who he is in the offseason. But then to create division, don't you see that? Like, our front office created division amongst the players and the organization. And then Aaron's coming out saying, hey, man, you didn't treat Jordy Nelson with respect. You didn't treat Clay Matthews with respect. You didn't treat Charles Woodson with respect. You didn't treat Donald Driver and all these other men with respect who played for our team, who went out there and busted their balls, and they won a championship for you. And we're supposed to be good old Midwestern, blue-collar, the Green Bay Packers who are owned by the fans, but you're treating all of your players like you're the New York Giants or like you're the San Francisco 49ers or you're some big wig or the Dallas Cowboys. You're some big organization. And I think that's the problem, that the fans thought, oh, well, Aaron's the problem because look at what Brian's trying to do. And somehow we should just trust in Brian Gutekunst, who's proven nothing. All these men have done is ridden off the backs of Aaron Rodgers. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. And this is what infuriates me about this whole thing. Pay respect to the man. Put some respect on his name. We won because of Aaron Rodgers and Charles Woodson and Jenkins. We won because of Nick Collins and Donald Driver and Greg Jennings. That team was solid. Ted Thompson put up a great team and got us to the Super Bowl. And it's a shame that we only went to one Super Bowl. And they allowed our special teams and our defense to be the Achilles heel every single year, year in and year out. And it got so ridiculous that you literally didn't give our team and our coaching staff, Mike McCarthy, all that he needed to go make another run. Because did we re-sign a lot of these other players? Or did we try to get other free agents in there to make a difference? No. And if we go back, you guys can't revise history. You can't revise what we saw year after year. There's only one playoff game you can legitimately blame Aaron Rodgers for losing. That's after we lost 5 playoff games before that. The one playoff game was the last game we played against the San Francisco 49ers. Alan Lazard is wide open, and all Aaron Rodgers was trying to do was find Devontae Adams because everybody else sucked. Nobody else was open. And again, to me, I blame the organization. I blame the front office for that. Because you took away a James Jones and a Jordy Nelson. You couldn't get a free agent who could be, like, think about how amazing that team would have been if you just got a solid number 2. If you can pull away from, we had Robert Tonyan out there. Come on. Give us a solid tight end. Give us a solid number 1 wide receiver. You literally bring a solid tight end, and you bring in another solid number 2 wide receiver, because Alan Lazard, he's not that guy. Alan Lazard is like a third string wide receiver, meaning he's good, but he's not going to bring enough attention away from somebody like Devontae Adams. If a defense is writing up a game plan, they're not really worried about Alan Lazard. They're trying to shut down Devontae Adams. Think about it. That's why Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill were so dominant, because you had to shut both of them down, and both of them were extremely difficult to double, and you can't really double those 2 guys, and if you do double those 2 guys, somebody else is going to be wide open. So you see my point? It's just common sense, and these men made decision after decision after decision, year after year after year, to completely ignore this, and guess who's left? Guess who's left holding the wet bread? You and me. We're holding that nasty wet bread. It's got mold all over it, and they expect us to eat it. And I'm telling you guys, this has been a recipe for disaster. And I promise you, it doesn't get any better. This is the best we could be. And our defense is playing as best as they could, and we're still losing. You don't look at the schedule of the Green Bay Packers and tell me if we had Aaron Rodgers right now, we wouldn't be winning. You got to be insane to believe anything else. You're telling me we wouldn't have a winning record? You're telling me that the Raiders put up 17 points that Aaron Rodgers couldn't put up 20. The Broncos put up 19 points. Aaron Rodgers couldn't put up 20. Now, the Lions, Aaron Rodgers played with us last year, and the Lions beat us. But again, he had a broken thumb. And the Lions are the same old Lions whenever they run into somebody like Aaron Rodgers. And in that game, we played the Lions, and Jordan Love put up 20. So it's not hard to believe that Aaron Rodgers couldn't have given us another 10 points. So my whole point is, when you look at how terrible we've played, and the defense has done decently on their end, because in my opinion, and then let's talk about the Falcons. The Falcons beat us 25-24. You don't think Aaron could have gotten us a field goal in that game to get us ahead? Come on. So there's several games right there that we lost that clearly just making that one change in that one position could have made a world of a difference. You're seeing Jordan Love throw the pigskin all over the place. You don't know what he's doing. So what we need to see is this. We need to clean house from top to bottom. But you know what we got to do? We got to go through the red tape. Because we're talking like the season is over, and the season isn't over. You know, and I know the season isn't over. So we have to wait, because potentially there's a chance this is going to turn around. Now, let's be real. Unless somehow Jesus meets Jordan Love overnight and touches him on his right arm, I have no idea how he's just going to start throwing the ball fantastic. And then after he touches Jordan Love's right arm, he goes to Matt LaFleur's brain, and he touches his brain and says, man, these are the plays you're supposed to be calling. That's the only thing that's going to really help this team out right now. Everyone keeps talking about, oh, wait, Christian Watson was out. Wait till he comes back. Oh, wait, Aaron Jones was out. Wait till he comes back. We've had several games with both these fools in the game, and the results are still the same. How dumb can you get and still breathe? I don't know. These men are showing us that. And it's disappointing, because you and I suffer. And you know, I don't feel bad saying this about them, because they get paid millions. Like, you should be producing. If I perform this way in my job, I'd get fired. This is absolutely ridiculous. And Matt LaFleur has the gall, the audacity to say some of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Our confidence in him is not wavering one bit. I'm going to put that on me. Word? So how many things we're going to put on you? How many times am I going to see you lose to where there's no repercussions for you losing? To me, this sounds like a man who both of you and Brian Gutekunst, in my opinion, are in bed with each other on this, right? Because if Matt LaFleur does bad and gets fired, then there's going to be heat on Brian Gutekunst. So, of course, he's going to be like, hey, we're going to stick with Jordan Love and give this guy a shot. Come on, guys. This is not Jordan Love's first year. He's been in the league for 3+ years, guys. He's not going to just magically turn around in year 5. This is his 4th year. We got to stop the garbage. Since when do you have to give a guy 7, 8 years? Like, oh, man, he's got to play like 7 or 8 years in the league. Bro, you guys do realize he throws the ball when he's not in practice, when he's not in the game, right? Like, he still throws the ball. He has practice, reps. He can train with the practice squad. And you don't just develop accuracy like that. I mean, come on. Either you got it or you don't, right? You don't need 4 years to develop accuracy. Right, when you see guys like Lamar Jackson, who wasn't that good the first year, that's because it was his first year. But the very next year he came out, he was much more accurate. So clearly he had the ability to throw the ball well. He probably was just overwhelmed with everything going on. He didn't need 3-4 years to become accurate. So this idea that you're going to give this guy already 4 years, this is how he's performing right now as we speak, and we see him on the field. Somehow in year 5 or 6, he's going to get better. This is it, guys. So the writing's on the wall. So, yeah, is the season over? No. So should we wait technically? Yeah. But we all know how this is going to end. And I want to hear all the people who were talking all that smack. I see all the YouTube channels. I see all the Packer fans and, the Grossies and all that other nonsense. I hear them talking. And it's like, where were you? You were talking all that smack about Aaron. You were talking all that smack trying to defend Brian Gutekunst and Mark Murphy and Matt LaFleur, being toxic about the Hall of Fame quarterback that is that bad man in Aaron Rodgers, when he was trying to tell you that other men on this team were being disrespected and not given an opportunity. We were nickel and diamond, folks. And we were not going into free agency, and Brian Gutekunst somehow just went under the radar and said absolutely nothing to him. No one said anything about him. And look at where we are right now. So at this point, I feel like getting on here, talking to you guys, making these videos, I ask the question of what more can I say? Because I don't know how many times I can get on here and be right. Being right is not always what's cracked up to be. I'm just letting you know right now. Being right and being a Packer fan and being right about this, it just infuriates me because we're just going to keep losing. And I've gotten to the point, literally, and I have a confession of I've gotten to the point where I expect us to lose. And then I'm happy when we lose, but not for the reason that you think. I'm happy when we lose because then we're one step closer to the real problem so that we can clean house and have better decision makers put in position. Now, am I concerned about those future decision makers? I am. Because if Mark Murphy was smart enough to hire Brian Gutekunst as the GM and agree with Brian Gutekunst to bring in Matt LaFleur, I can see him making another dumb decision and bringing in another dumb GM and another, head coach that's not good enough. To me, they need to make a splash. They need to bring in somebody that's unorthodox. They need to bring in a coach that has a great resume and pay the man something legitimate. We talked about Eric Bieniemy. He would be great to bring into this team, but we also still need a better GM. Now, I don't know the list of GMs that are available, and that's always the thing. When you're trying to replace someone, you got to make sure the person you replace them with is actually legitimate. So I don't know who's out there, and I'm not saying that I know the answers, but I do know one answer, and it's not these men. They suck. You know why you're 13-3 for 3 years in a row? Because the year before, when Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy quote unquote had their issues, Aaron Rodgers was hurt then too. It just so happens you came back and you piggybacked off the fact that literally if Aaron wasn't hurt that year, Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers would have had another winning season. And who knows, Mike McCarthy doesn't go anywhere. So you just piggybacked off of this man being absolutely fantastic, covering up all the sins. And I thought, like, bro, we win in like 6 or 7 games. At this rate, it looks like we're winning 3 or 4. And I'll be surprised because you can already see the morale of the team. You think Jair wants to play on a team like this? He's already telling you right now, we got to do everything we can to let them fools not even score a point. And then we're going to get real tired of hearing Matt LaFleur talking about we did our best. You know, they worked hard. They play hard. We put up a battle. You're going to see one of them fake little tears. But then the next day he's going to come out and say, our confidence in him is not wavering one bit. How many weekends can we see? Like, think about how bad it's going to be, guys. I need you to understand. He had 2 bye weeks back to back, and they both ended in L's. Do you hear what I'm saying to you right now? He had 2 bye weeks back to back. Remember that beautiful stat we had? And I'm yelling now because I'm mad. Because, like, it was like the Packers never lost more than 2 games back to back. That record is done. That's never going to happen. Like, we're never going to do that again with these dudes. We're going to have the longest losing streak, and I need you to buckle in. Buckle in. You need to get your mind right. I told you. Packers over the Bears, Packers over the Falcons, that didn't happen. Saints over the Packers, that didn't happen. Why? Derek Carr. Lions over the Packers, that happened. Packers over the Raiders, oop, we lost that too. Broncos over the Packers, and if we lose to the Broncos 17-19, do you really think we're beating the Vikings who just beat the 49ers last night? Do you think we're beating the Rams? Do you think we're beating the Steelers, the Chargers, the Lions again, who already beat us, and Mr. Patrick Mahomes? I don't even know if we beaten the Giants. And then the Bucks, they're still winning they're winning their division. The Panthers, and then the Vikings again, and then of course we always gonna beat the Bears. I don't know if we ever gonna be so bad that we can't beat the Bears. And if we can't beat the Bears, oh my goodness, the house is on fire. It makes no sense. So I originally said that, like, okay, give Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur 2 years, and that's probably what's going to be. They're going to have this year, probably end up with like a 4-win type of season at this rate. I originally picked 6 or 7. I thought we can get away with 6 or 7 W's. Even that's still a failure, but we're probably going to end up winning like 4. And then next year, how is it going to get any better, guys? Think about it. Oh, Jordan Reed and Watson and Dobbs are going to have another year under their belt, so they'll actually run the right routes. Come on, man. You know how it goes. Normally you see guys jump in their sophomore year. And Jordan Love's been sitting on the bench for you guys already know for how long. So we just haven't made the great picks. We don't have enough talent. This team is not it. It's not it. And we're just slowly seeing it unravel in front of all of our eyes. What more can I say? The Green Bay Packers are terrible. And I blame these men right here on screen. They're terrible. I've speculated. I don't know what's been happening behind closed door. I have an idea. But all I know is it don't really matter what I believe. All that matters is we're losing, and it's somebody's fault. And it always has to start from the top down. And you can't blame Aaron Rodgers anymore because he's not here anymore. So remember, I'm a Packer fan. I'm just another cheesehead just like you. I want us to win just as badly as you want us to win. But you know what? I'm tired of believing we can do anything just because we got Aaron Rodgers. You see, when we had Aaron Rodgers, there was just this like belief that like we could win any game. Because you're seeing it. You're seeing how good Aaron Rodgers is because we can't win any game when he's not behind center. Think about that. I want you, as you watch the rest of this season, to gain appreciation. I need you to go back and look at highlights of Brett Favre. Look at highlights of Aaron Rodgers. And remember what you once had. Because you don't know what you got until it's gone. That famous classic saying. So if you're one of those stupid Packer fans who said the nonsense and spewed the garbage out your mouth, disrespecting Aaron Rodgers, because, yeah, he ain't perfect, but who gives a rip about him being perfect? He would throw touchdowns and barely interceptions every single year. I don't need Aaron Rodgers to marry my daughter. I just need Aaron Rodgers to win me football games. That's all we care about is winning. Now, we don't want you committing crimes, but he wasn't doing that, so we checked that box. So I want to win games. You don't want to see the Green Bay Packers get moved out of Wisconsin. And if we keep this up, that's exactly where we're headed. Somewhere out of Wisconsin. So that's what I don't want. I don't want us to go back to those days right before Brett Favre. And that's what it feels like we're headed. Because we got some arrogant men who don't understand and appreciate and respect the green and gold of the Green Bay Packers. That's why it's called the trophy is named after us, the Lombardi. Our Vince Lombardi trophy was named after us. We are the champions. We are Titletown, baby. And it looks like we are so far from Titletown, who knows? Who knows how long we can last? So I don't know what more to say. Because we lose again next week, which we know is going to happen. Why would I make another podcast? Why would I say anything? Why would I get on here and just say, Lem, you were right again, and go, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you were right. We need a clean house. These men need to go. I'm a proud owner of the Green Bay Packers, and I want to see us win. And it saddens me. It saddens me deeply to see where we are as an organization. And I think these men need to look in the mirror, and they need to own up to their mistakes. They make a lot of money to be able to get on stage and at least apologize and own up. And yeah, when that door hits you in the back of your head, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal when you got millions and millions of dollars sitting in your bank account. At least you should have if you've been smart with your money. So I'm not worried about their well-being because I'm sure they'll be taken care of. The NFL is a very lucrative sport. We pay a lot. But we pay to see results. And these results, they're going to only get worse and worse and worse. I promise you that. We can't keep hearing Matt LaFleur every week talking about, borderline crying in between halftime. And, man, we got to start faster. They keep saying the same dang thing, guys. The same nonsense. We got to start faster. We just got to call better plays. I got to be better. I got to be better. Y'all heard the garbage. Well, when are you going to be better? Right? So, I'm the Nemesis, your nemesis. This is Just Another Cheesehead podcast. I'm angry right now. I'm hot and bothered. Hey, I'm going to try to end on a good note. It's going to sound ironic. But most importantly, it's just sports. And nothing matters. But in my opinion, the one thing that matters the most is if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, you should get to know him. It'll be the best decision you've ever made in your life. Look up the salvation prayer. Ask him to come into your life. Hey, the Green Bay Packers will let you down. The world will let you down. But I believe the Lord Jesus Christ will never let you down. That's how it's been in my life, and he'll do the same for you. Peace, love, and hap. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like and subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube. Follow me if you hit me up on Twitch. Go, Pack, go. I'll catch you on the next show.